clear out just in time for our brakes to get fixed today. That's for sure. Anyway, so both of us have brake issues, and so we are not going to put the brakes on that. The Bible says, Psalm 16, "O my soul, preserve me, God, for I put my trust in you. You are my Lord. My goodness is nothing apart from you. As for the saints who are on the earth, they are the excellent ones in whom there is all my delight. Their sorrow shall be multiplied who hasten after other gods. Their drink offerings of blood I will not offer, nor take up their name on my lips. But, O Lord, you are the portion of my inheritance. You are my cup. You maintain my lot. The lines have fallen to me in pleasant places. Yes, I have good inheritance, and I will bless the Lord who has given me counsel. My heart instructs me in the night seasons. I have set, there's so many good verses here. My heart instructs me in the night seasons. I have set the Lord always before me, because he's at my right hand, and I shall not be moved. Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoices. My flesh also will rest in hope, for you will not leave my soul in hell, nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption. You will show me the paths of life, and in your presence is fullness of joy, and at your right hand are pleasures forevermore." And so that is the scripture for today, and I'm going to talk today about our relationship with the Lord, and I'm going to tell you about our new special that I think is really special. It's called a special because it's special, and I really believe that it's special. We got news today. You know, I think 27 now have been, and then even more unaccounted for, at that London building that was on fire, and they're not knowing what started that fire, but we could sing with Billy Joel. Somebody's going to sing, "We didn't start the fire." But, man, 27 dead already. I think that is horrible. And the congressman that was shot, his name is? Scalise. I know. I can never remember that name. Scalise. But hopefully you've been praying for all of our congressmen and those that were attacked yesterday. I guess the attacker did die of his wounds. They say if the two security members that were not with them at that time, then it would have been a massacre. And so they're thankful for them.
Did they take the guy out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they
gotcha.
did. A lady cop, lady security, she was wounded, shot in the ankle. A lobbyist was there, shot in the chest. I'm not sure how you feel about that. But no, that's horrible. And he and Scalise are both in critical condition now. I guess the bullet went into his hip and into his pelvis and shattered some bone and hit some of the organs that you're not supposed to, and cause internal bleeding. So we need to keep on praying for them. I was just crying my eyes out as they discussed the congressman from Texas who was there on second base and heard the gunfire and ran it into he's late 60s, head first into the dugout on cement. And he had just for his life, and then covered one of the other congressman's 10-year-old son. They put their bodies on top of so that he wouldn't be shot. And then his aide, this congressman from Texas, I should have wrote his name down, but man, he just had me start crying. And he started crying as he was telling, if it wasn't for my security and my aides, I probably wouldn't be here right now. Because if the man, another thing, a God thing, the man couldn't get over the fence. It was too hefty to get over the fence, and the gate was locked, and he didn't know it. So he had to just shoot from the fence. If he had gotten into the diamond, the ballpark, he could have got right into that dugout and just taken him out, just like sitting ducks. He did get that aide who dove in there, but his name was Zach. I remember that because I have a lot of Zach friends.
That guy died? The aide?
No, the aide didn't die.
Nobody died?
Nobody has died at this point. There's that lobbyist and Scalise now that are in critical condition.
Yeah, I heard that he had to go into another surgery last night.
Yes, he did, and President Trump went to visit him last night. Thought that was admirable, and he wanted to go to the game today. They said the game will go on tonight.
Doing the game, yeah.
Yeah, because it's also a charity. It raises money, and they said this is.
I've never heard of this
what
game,
they would for.
And the fact that they sit there and practice so much for it, I'd never
I
heard of
think
this.
they started it back when we were talking. This is what came to my mind because I've heard of the game before, and it just it's a cool deal. They're praying that it will be packed now for 50,000 seat auditorium.
Yeah.
That it would ball field, that it would generate even more money than would have normally.
Right.
President Trump wanted to go. Secret Service is telling it's too soon to get that ready to go. But I wonder if he'll have his way, because you know how he is.
Yeah.
No lies. I'm going. But
Baseball.
we'll see. You just crack me up when you do this. It's just more funny. Any news in sports at all today? You know, I always like to lean toward your.
No, not really. I've just been working my tail off, and
I know. Well, no, I see some. But it's good. Well, you're looking good.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, you don't look as tired today. Past couple of days.
Well, that's good because
You're starting to get used to it, I think, maybe.
I think so.
I don't know.
I'm gonna put in 45 hours at that hotel this week, though, Kev.
Yeah.
7 days.
Come on now.
Yeah. Something else.
Well, I know it sounds terrible if it's work, but it also sounds good because money.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's good. Yeah, no, we don't want to play it because he's not greedy. He's just not getting paid right now. You know, we really need your help. And so we'll tell you about that. In case I forget, the T-shirt of the week, my Ronald Reagan shirt, which I love, says, if you're not one nation under God, you'll be one nation that goes under. This is great witness wear. This is also a great testimony of how we feel about our nation. And so this was a great quote by Ronald Reagan. So get your T-shirt today. We have put all T-shirts this summer. We're having a summer T-shirt sale. Mm-hmm. So we're now putting out, so I don't have to wear them every day now, because I've just said all summer they'll be $15 or 2 for $20.
Wow.
2 for $20. That's really $10 a piece. So any size, free shipping coming your way. So get a T-shirt in time for summer. I'm surprised we don't have the calls, but call 844-47-KEVIN, and I'll get you a T-shirt right away. We're also praying for the family and those in London through this horrible thing. But I saw a thing about the UK and Great Britain.
Yeah.
Is saying that they will not have, like America, they will no longer have a Black Friday. At Thanksgiving time, the day after is Black Friday. They think it's pointless and causes more financial woes for people. And so they're canceling it.
We don't really have it anymore either. It's kind of
Black Friday.
It's kind of a.
They line up.
I know, but it's kind of a hoax now because they don't do deals anymore.
Not as good as they used to.
Yeah, it's kind of they've kind of done.
Well, maybe the UK is onto something.
Well, real quick. When I owned my business, it was a big deal. Over in my sports store at Tanger, and what happened was I was really upset because they decided that they were going to, used to be stayed up and all night, Yeah. And we stayed up until 3 a.m. and then we closed and we opened up back like at 10 or 11. Well, or something like that. Well, at 3 a.m. there were still people there and we had to make them leave. And then when it opened back up at 10 or 11, there weren't people there for a couple hours. So it really, the fact that they changed it and stuff kind of messed me up. But anyway, yeah, it's not even a thing as much as
not even a thing. But on Black Friday, Google sales have gone up 3 times their norm, as of last Black Friday, which there's a Cyber Monday, so they're double dipping. Now,
yeah, Cyber
but
Monday.
Google sales are up, so somebody's getting the money. I think that's where the problem is. And if probably these stores went back to the real sales, real discounts,
right?
They could get back in the black.
And don't forget Small Business Saturday.
Yeah, that's important. We should honor our small businesses. Speaking of businesses,
yes.
Streaming music now, as of 2014, actually. So this is late news, but I saw this. But as of 3 years ago, streaming music has surpassed CD sales. Oh. So you're no longer, people go to the store and buy CDs.
2014, I would have thought that might have been earlier, actually.
Even earlier than 2014?
Yeah.
Well, it was the first time it surpassed it. It was rising, but now, and I thought, so we're deep into it now, and so God knows how long, how much more streaming music is, but I would say it's at least 75-80% now of all music is streaming music.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So these music stores, I feel bad for, they're going to have to find some way to get in on the streaming music business or their CD sales.
Well, retail in and of itself it got a shaky future, to say the least.
Because of internet?
Because of the internet, yeah.
I think everybody will always want that personable something go into a store, but you're right. It's going to be more of a...
When we went to Nevada, there was like a store that, it was like really nice purse shop, and it was like one of those places where the purses were like $20,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I could see
Louis
stuff
Vuitton.
like that. I mean, but it's like, I don't know, like some place where you, especially if Amazon's gonna launch this thing with the drones taking stuff to your house. Have you heard about that? It's supposed to be within like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna just change the whole.
It's coming
landscape.
to Springfield and Branson.
Yeah.
So when it's in Branson, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be everywhere. So we got people on today. Do we have to say hi to anybody? Any shout outs?
Kim was asking if my hotel is pet friendly. It's not.
It's not. Happy birthday. May all your dreams come true. Happy birthday from AM Kevin to you.
Oh, it's Kim's birthday today?
Yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
Yes. So happy birthday, Miss Kim. Rod Kittleman, I was listening for you this morning. You were not on the radio. Where were you? And your wonderful voice of yours.
And then Carrie Ann Mitchell is with us.
Hi, Carrie Ann. I was looking for you on the radio, and I was wondering, where's that wonderful voice of yours? Anybody else? Your mama joined us yet?
Not yet.
She's not up yet. But that's awesome. Welcome, everybody. So we got Tennessee, and we've got Missouri. Patty, we got Montana just checked in. Is it raining in Montana? I know it rains down in Montana. Because it's raining or something over in Montana, isn't it? Every time we check in, she's usually it's raining or snowing.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, we're getting a little rain drizzle, but it'll be out. Rod Kittleman could tell us exactly what the weather is if he wants to tell us what it's going to be like for today. But I think the rain is going to be gone in a couple hours. I'm hoping. But are they responding? Anybody saying anything?
Phyllis says it's sleepy here in Fort Mojave.
It's sleepy, I bet. It's because it's 7 a.m. over there. That's why it's sleepy. 7 a.m. is just kind of early, but she's so faithful. Yeah. I've just destroyed the microphone. No, I try to do it the cheap way. I just drop it behind me, and then, but I keep dropping it. Here. What do you say, Marshall?
What's up? Hey, I think we got a guest about to join us, Kev.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Who?
It's a sunshiny day. Rain clouds are rolling away.
What's the weather? What does Rod say?
You'll have to talk for him, Marshall, because
He's sleepy.
Okay. Well, anyway, so this is AM Kevin. And like we said, we're going to keep talking about the news. And I don't even know.
There's a new fad in the news.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm ready. Yes. There's a new fad.
Yes.
Yes. Nestle's, Mars, and Lindt. Lindt that has the chocolate balls and the wrapper, the good stuff. Mars bars, all the Mars candy bars. Nestle's chocolate, all that stuff, They're new fad. They want to have chocolate bars with flavonoids in them.
Riboflavonoids?
All, what?
Riboflavonoids?
What is that?
I don't know, that's what you always hear on the commercials.
Yeah.
Hey.
So they're all adding
Go to him real quick.
What?
Go to him real quick.
So they're all adding the healthy stuff in there so that you can have healthy candy bars. I don't know, it sounds like an oxymoron to me. I don't know. But it's, you got the flavonoids and you got the supplements, and it's become a $51 billion market. $51 billion.
$51 billion?
Because they add supplements into their candy bars to make it.
Oh my goodness.
Flavonoids is one of them. I know.
Let's see, I'm trying to think.
In chocolate bars. Speaking of chocolate, your girlfriend just walked in.
She was trapped. I don't know what she was doing in there.
I know.
She was stealing our wood or something back there in our nails.
I didn't close the door back. Did you close the door back?
She wasn't even trapped in that part.
Oh.
She was confused. It's okay.
Well, it's early. But isn't it interesting? It's a $51 billion to have put some health. That's what these three together.
Something like
just in candy bars.
Yeah.
Riboflavonoids?
Hershey flavonoids or something. Yeah.
Yeah, flavonoids. It's flav.
Flavonoid. Okay.
Not flab.
What are they? There's some kind of...
There's some vitamins, yeah.
Okay.
There's some... So they're going to put these kind
occurring type of thing.
They're going to put some in their chocolate to make it more appealing. You can have our chocolate because it's actually good for you. And not so much.
Chocolate's good for you.
It is. But as long as there's sugar, you're not going to have the things that you have. Now it looks like I'm listening in, ladies and gentlemen, the latest in sports. I got the whole.
Ladies and gentlemen, Houston.
And I don't even really care, actually. But, we have started to do, and I think it'd be a good time because we're talking about healthy stuff. CLA got me on track. As of today, got on the scale. I am now officially The lowest I've been in over 27 years.
Nice, dude.
When I walked when I walked away from the lunchrooms and started my own ministry in 1989, 28 years ago, I was 285. And I drastically increased over the years from that point to 350. I am now 283. That's 2 pounds lower than the 285.
Nice,
I am
dude.
now, yes.
That's awesome.
And today Cindy weighed and she was 5 pounds lighter. So we're on track with our diet.
That's good,
and
buddy.
this CLA is really going to help. Now that's $50. The essential energy, that gives me the energy I need to to go for. But it does so many great things. And I'm going to do a thing on that because that phenylalanine that's in there. I want to read more about that. But the smart caps, this is really interesting to me. We've been reading about how it helps your blood circulation. It also helps with anxiety and those kind of things because it opens up your your brain and your circulation, so you're more at ease with things. It improves your red blood cells and dilates your blood vessels. So you got a good flow going on, so you're not anxious, and that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it comes from vinpocetine. Vinpositively comes from.
I heard you tried to do that on the show.
Yeah, I couldn't be like you, but it's from the Vinca major plant.
Okay.
Periwinkle.
Oh.
The common periwinkle actually helps you in. It's the weirdest day. We have our Freaky Thursday always, don't we?
I know.
Everybody has their
You're
Freaky
right.
Fridays. We have our
Thursday is
Thursdays. Always weird.
It's been a weird day.
But periwinkle is in there, and so this is a
That's
plant
a flower,
that has
right?
vinpocetine. Yeah.
Okay.
Has vinpocetine. They call this like a smart drug, if you will, that it helps in. What has happened? But it happens it does anything that's connected with the brain, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your, fatigue.
Yes.
Keeps,
Fatigue.
You need this.
I need this.
Yes.
Man.
But that's 40, that's 50, that's 130. I am doing what I call the Kevin's
Heaven.
Hold on. Kevin's we came up with it yesterday, Mark and I. We named it and everything, but instead of 130, we knocked $30 off, and it's only $100 free shipping try the 3. It's the trifecta of other supplements that we have, and all of them do so much, and all of them cross over to do some of the same things with the blood cells, with the blood sugar, with the blood pressure. All that stuff helps you, and but it's KFC. And I can't remember what the F stood for. It's Kevin's something combo. Kevin's
phenylalanine combo.
Fabulous, fantastic. Kevin's favorites. Because these are my favorites of the supplements. So if you go to KFC, you need the KFC. That's what it really is. Kevin's favorites, which is the CLA, the essential energy, and the smart caps with vinpocetine, which is periwinkle. And try it. I know you'll like it. And I wanted to say that just because of healthy stuff, and because our greedy group of the day have to do with pharmaceuticals.
Oh, okay.
Pum, and specifically calling out a certain company.
That's Kendra,
who's a traitor. She is what?
Well, she's going to be a pharmacist,
She's going to be a pharmacist. Well, hopefully she'll be a good one. But here's the deal. These people, it's all about, they're the greedy group of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Because the greedy group have the love of this. Pfizer.
Oh, yes, Pfizer.
Pfizer works with Allergen. Allergen is a company from Dublin, Ireland.
Okay.
They are. So Pfizer, because they're so greedy, pay less taxes in Ireland, are moving all of their peoples. They're already in the process. They are working with Allergen, a $160 billion deal, so that they'll also be from Dublin, Ireland, because they don't want to pay the taxes. Don't want to invest in our country. Greedy. Greedy group of the day. Because Pfizer does all kinds of stuff, all kinds of medicines, good stuff. Medicine, Viagra is one of them. You know, that helps men. You know, all these different things, but it's all shipping over to Ireland. And so, what do you think? Isn't that greedy?
Where's the president? I thought he was supposed to stop this stuff.
Yes, he is. But, you know, I don't know. He didn't stop those greedy groups of the day.
I know. It is. That's just what they'll do. They're going to always maximize profits to the utmost degree. That's what corporations do.
But they're merging with them, with Allergan, so that, but spending $160 billion to do so. So obviously they're going to save billions more by moving and merging over there in Ireland.
Wow.
I know. Greedy. Hey, listen, I thought if we had a greedy group, because I don't want to just say on greedy and be all like acting judgmental, although I think we should call out those who are greedy. And Pfizer, don't come after me. I'm just pointing out, I don't know, you know, I don't know, just talk to Kendra. Anyway, and so the deal is, I figured if we have a greedy group, we should have the heroes of the day. All right?
Heroes of the day.
So we got even a theme song for the heroes.
Oh.
Yes.
I can be your hero, babe. No?
No. Who's that?
Oh, Enrique Iglesias.
Oh, Julio Iglesias. No. We've already crossed over with the One Republic or whatever they're called. One Voice.
One Direction.
One Direction. And yeah. No, this one's a little better. Roll, hero of the day.
Beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero?
There you go. I've got Heroes of the Day, a new segment. Thank you, Bette Midler. Now that's a musician. That's a singer right there. She has a great voice. She is so talented. She just won a Tony Award for Broadway. I think she's won an Academy Award, a Tony Award, Emmy. She's won everything. Grammys, I know that. So I think she has the fourplex.
Oh, that's the EGOTs. Yeah, there's only like 6 people who have that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she might not have an Emmy. I don't know, but I think she's got the Academy. And
you know who a weird person who has that is? Well, an obscure person who has that is?
Who?
Whoopi Goldberg. She has an EGOT.
Of course, because
yeah,
I can see, and all of them.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote Hamilton. Lin Miranda.
Yeah.
If he would have won the Oscar for his song from Moana, he would have completed it.
He would have had a 4 already.
He'll get an Oscar.
How did he get an Emmy?
TV something. Who knows?
Yeah. Wow. He wrote the music on the last Star Wars thing. He personally wanted to write. He asked the powers that be if he could write the song that was played in the cantina when they went to the because he.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Little side bit trivia. Yeah. But here's our hero of the day. Now there are restaurants that are moving restaurants. Have you heard of this?
No.
I didn't either until I heard on the radio just coming in on the Christian radio station. I'm sorry, Rod, it wasn't your station, but I was listening because you weren't on there, so I went to 94.1. You're normally 99 hit FM, but you weren't there to tell us the weather or any of those things. So maybe it's your day off.
Kasem.
Did Rod say anything about why he's not on the radio?
I don't know. He might have just joined us and jumped back off.
Oh, thanks, Rod. See how you are? Well, thank God I was on another station, because on the other radio station, they said that there's these mobile restaurants. What happens is it's almost like food trucks, but they'll come in for a few days or a few weeks, and then they'll move to another location around town. And they're always moving, so you have to stay on the internet or find out if you really like this restaurant, how to go to this restaurant. I didn't know such thing existed.
In like a tent or?
Maybe. I don't know. They didn't tell that description of it, but it's a deal where they don't know if they really want to have a restaurant, so it's almost kind of like a trial basis, or it's also where they don't want to do it full time, so it's part time. Well, Japan is part of this trend, and there's a Japanese restaurant that I say is the hero of the day, and I didn't get their name. They didn't tell their name, but they're the heroes of the day because this is one of those restaurants that they'll supply the food, whatever, but you order, and you don't know if you're going to get your order or not.
What?
Because they are doing it in support of Alzheimer's patients and those who have dementia. And so all of your waiters and waitresses have Alzheimer's. And so they can take your order, but you don't know for sure if you're going to get your order. But the proceeds a lot the profits are going to help research for Alzheimer's.
That's cool.
And dementia. So they're helping some of the elderly in Japan. I'm sure they're overseen, so that they're not just totally like standing there. I don't know where to go, But you don't know, and they know this ahead of time.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're gonna get your order. But I could totally dig that, because sometimes I don't even know what to order. I'll just somebody pick something for me, and so that would be perfect. But I thought they're heroes for trying an experiment to help those that lose their memory.
Kevin, there's nothing
It's
worse
horrible.
than losing your mind, and
pray to God I don't.
We sometimes institutions kind of take up somewhat of a pet cause in a sense, I'm just really proud that what's happened at University of Tennessee because of Pat Summitt is we've really taken on Alzheimer's. It's been kind of one of the ones that we've really kind of tried to battle, because of her and her legacy. But I think they say we're close to a cure. There's different enzymes they can do for the brain, and at least on the way there. So that's right.
Just saying. All right. Well, guess what it's time for? We had a lot of theme songs, man.
And you know what?
We keep our director moving.
We're gonna do our William Janice Bryan, but I had to do William McKinley last night because I ran out of time. So we'll have to do William Janice Bryan tomorrow.
McKinley.
Yeah.
Which Mount McKinley?
Yeah.
They wanted to take the name away or something.
I think they did.
They did.
Yeah. It's called. What was it called?
It's called Glacier. No,
it's like
called,
East. It's an Inuit name, I think, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's always going to be Mount McKinley, I guess. But it's Yeah, now that's going to bug me. I can't remember. Because I do know the name. I've seen it.
Oh,
I've been
it's
there.
like
Mount.
Mount Enzyme. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if somebody comes up Mount Smart Caps, just let us know. But for now, we're going to our 25th. Who was 24? Because Grover was 22 and 24.
Yeah. Cleveland was 22 and 24.
Ladies and gentlemen, our historical moment with Marshall Howden.
You and me got a whole lot of history. We could be the greatest team that the world has ever seen. You and me
We got a whole lot of history. William McKinley, 25th President of the United States. 2 terms?
2 terms.
He was a good one.
No, 1 term.
Well,
1 term.
But he was already elected the second when he was killed, right?
Right.
Okay. So he didn't finish.
Yes.
And his vice president was Theodore Roosevelt?
First, yes. Garrett Hobart at first.
Hobart didn't work.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Bring in Teddy.
Yeah. That's a good call on that. That's that he was
I've been to his
elected
tomb. I've been to his library and his home in Canton, Ohio.
Yes.
Just down the road from the Football Hall of Fame. We got to go to both.
Oh,
of
yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah.
What
a day. That'd be fun, man.
Okay. All right. We're going to go.
There's a bunch of stuff in
Road trip, Kendra. All right.
All right.
So tell me about William. He's from Ohio.
From Ohio. He's governor of Ohio.
Yes.
Last president to serve who fought in the Civil War.
Oh.
So, yeah, pretty interesting. And so here's the deal with McKinley.
Yeah.
At this point, the Republican Party was majorly backed by big business, and so he was too. He became kind of the big business candidate. And so he was interested, and he did, in raising the tariffs back up so that some of our big businesses could have like somewhat of a grip on, the shipment of labor and the trading of labor and of goods.
So where was he on the tariffs?
He wanted to raise tariffs, because that helped out some of the monopolies and different things, and it helped out the businesses, but not so much the people. And I think that's one of the arguments against those. But nevertheless, this was what he was. This is very interesting as I kind of started to research McKinley last night, is that he was kind of like a Trump in a sense, because he was like that businessman president, and he came in and kind of did it had a businessman sensibility about him, and actually did a very good job of organizing some of the parts of government a little bit more like a business, where they ran a little bit more efficiently. The main example of this being the press. He was the one who really established, I think the press corps and sort of some of the decorum and some of the traditions that the press and the interaction with the president kind of had. So that was kind of interesting. And so.
He's not necessarily. He wasn't a businessman like Trump.
No, he
was a governor, but he surrounded himself with
surrounded himself and had that sort of that attitude.
I've always thought governors, make great presidents.
Well, because a governor is an executive, you
Yeah.
know. So absolutely, I agree. Who was the last? I guess George Bush was the last. Yeah. So okay.
Thus my point, since the last president was a... Okay.
Something like that.
Wasn't my favorite.
So basically, something crazy was going on at this time. The Spanish Empire was very strong, very powerful, but also they were persecuting Cubans like very intently. They had even had concentration camps in Cuba.
Oh, goodness.
And were murderous, and they were.
Didn't we send people down there? Did we fight in
Yes.
Havana?
So this was the beginning of the Spanish-American War,
which now Teddy Roosevelt was a part of.
Right.
Okay.
So here's what happened. So here was another kind of connection that I saw from this president, and that some of the historians were bringing up, was that the Spanish-American War was almost like the Iraq War in a sense, because there was a humanitarian aspect to it of helping those people, but there was also an aspect of kind of, we wanted a little bit of control of Cuban goods, and so the oil aspect of it.
Win-win.
Absolutely. So what happened was, and also there was a thing going on at this time where the great nations of the world were kind of building back up their empires. And so some in the Republican Party were scared because they thought, if we don't do this, if America doesn't start taking some territories, sort of maybe even Cuba, we might have had our eyes on, some in the in the Caribbean.
Well,
then we were
McKinley
gonna fall behind.
Got Alaska, right, and Hawaii under his...
But Seward was the one who did that, but I think Hawaii. I think because Seward was back right after sort of Lincoln was the Secretary of State there, and got that. I think actually under Johnson was when we actually annexed Alaska, but Hawaii might have been true on that one. Yeah.
Okay, I thought Alaska became a state under McKinley. That's why they named it Mount McKinley.
I have to maybe look that up.
I could
Kevin,
be way off.
You
Yes.
just joined us.
Who joined
Not sure
us?
if she's still with, but Karen Best.
Hello, Mayor.
Hi, Miss Mayor.
I miss you, Mayor. Come on by, Mayor.
We are doing our historical moment, President McKinley, right now. And so Theodore Roosevelt was the Assistant Secretary of the Navy at this point. And out of anybody, he pushed us to war the most of all. So he really wanted to go to war, whether it was he believed in humanitarian reasons, or I have a feeling he just had a streak of Jackson in him, and then he just had a streak of warrior in him, and kind of wanted to kind of show his salt. So what he did...
It's probably why he switched vice presidents, too. I mean, you got a war hero, or a guy, Mr. Ruff.
That's exactly why. He picked him up for the second term because of that. And so what we did was we were going to kind of take it slow at first. We sent a warship to Cuba, which was, do you know what the ship was, April? The USS Maine, that's right.
Yeah.
To protect American interests down there, and very mysteriously, it was destroyed. So we don't know, what happened, but it mysteriously exploded, and so on the 25th of April...
Well, it wasn't the Cubans, and it wasn't us, so let's see. The Spanish?
Maybe the Spanish.
You think?
Could have been. Something like that.
Okay.
So on the 25th of April, 1898, America declared war on Spain. And, we talked about this in the past, like with Grant and some of the presidents after who built up our Navy. Actually, even, Chester Arthur kind of helped build up our Navy. And that was when I was talking about we wouldn't have been ready for the Spanish-American War had we not built up our Navy. So, which was, every war that we fight, whether it's for our independence or whatever the case it is, I think it helps because of sort of American prestige, and the prestige of our military forces, and the idea that we are going to sort of have our way and create a sphere of influence in the world, especially in this hemisphere, which has always been very important to us. So Roosevelt took a very courageous step. He resigned and formed the Rough Riders, And this is I never knew this until recently, but the Rough Riders, you know about this Theodore Roosevelt's group, and him in the hat and everything, and the regalia. But I always thought it was just something where he maybe fought in the West or something. But no, he went down to Cuba. That's where the Rough Riders took their stand. And there's a whole, probably when we get into Roosevelt, we can get into a whole bunch about
we
that.
We could spend days on him.
There was a part where they were in a trench and he fought them out. I mean, he was just such a courageous person. And what a combination when you have somebody like that who's so courageous but also a great leader,
Yeah.
Somebody like an Eisenhower or a Jackson or somebody like that.
But you're not saying he left office to go...
He left as he was vice president, or excuse me, let's see, what was he? Assistant Secretary of the Navy. That's when he resigned.
Oh, okay.
Then after the war was over, or for the second term,
yeah.
that's when he was appointed second.
So did we win then?
Yeah, we won that, and
and we took control of Cuba?
not exactly. I think that we
still left the
because it was
we
a
just-
more we were trying to liberate
To free them,
in
yeah.
a sense. And so, but I think that there would be times, and then probably, this probably set into motion because this is only 1900. This probably set into motion because Castro would come along only
Yeah.
but about 40 years later. I'm sure Che Guevara had something to do with all that. And so it gets to a sad moment where William McKinley is shot.
He's
and,
reelected though. And
reelected.
then he's at the World's Fair.
Yeah, and a guy standing in line had his hand bandaged and wrapped, and had a pistol hidden in there.
Yeah, I've seen
shot
it.
the president.
Yeah.
And it ended up being our third assassination in 36 years.
Terrible.
And so it really created a stir. This is when the Secret Service, who was established under Lincoln, and they had something to do with protection of the president, but they were mainly focused on counterfeit money.
Yeah.
But this is where they kind of shifted over, and it became a full-time service to protect our commander-in-chief. And
You'd think after Garfield was enough to
you'd
do
think
it.
so.
But
Yeah, and that's
this guy was another crazy.
yeah, and it's something that to kind of bring it around to modern times again. It's something that last night, Kevin, that guy, he was I guess he was like a Bernie Sanders supporter, and that's not to cast aspersions on any candidate, but all I'm trying to say is that we're in this time right now of such polarization and such animosity towards different and the amount of antagonism that goes against our current president and the current people in power. We really have to watch, and we have to be very protective, and these things that the congressman can do. It's fun to have a baseball game and stuff like this, but we have really got to watch because it's just horrible.
Isn't it sad that we have to have that protected? And
Our last two assassination attempts of congressmen, Gabby Giffords and this man, neither were Islamic extremists. They were both Americans, I believe.
But just Gabby Gifford guy was just totally insane.
Yeah.
This guy just had a political bent where he had asked, one of the congressmen said he saw him leaving, and the guy stopped him and says, are these Republican or Democrats that are playing? And he says, these are the Republicans.
Wow.
He said, okay.
Wow.
And then next thing he knows, he's shooting them up. So, it's just, even the Democrat congressmen, and those are in the House and Senate as Democrats, have more respect for the Republicans, even though they all love our country, Democrat or Republican, and Paul Ryan made the great statement, if one is hurt, it affects all of us. We are one House and Senate. We are one peoples. We are one Americans. And that's the truth of it. They feel that way.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi does not want to shoot Paul Ryan. No. Paul Ryan doesn't want to kill Chuck Schumer.
And what else, Kev? It's interesting.
It's all just debating on how we can make our country better, and it's good for us.
Yeah, we have to. And here's the interesting thing, though, that came to my mind, is that, we're in a time of polarization that's just extreme, and but here's the deal. Like when Jeff Sessions testified the other day, there's a certain principle that's always applied that if a senator becomes another position and comes back to testify to the Senate, there's a certain camaraderie that remains. And so, yes, we do live in a time of extreme polarization, but at the same time,
I don't know why you say
people,
that. What's extreme polarization mean?
That almost an unprecedented. The last Congress,
I think it's happened every time you talk about these guys.
But
in the
last
past.
Congress, Kevin, the Congress when John Boehner was Speaker, we passed the by far the least laws we'd ever passed.
Well, maybe that's because we didn't need to.
We have to fix. Well, that's
I know.
Yeah.
I have an optimism that everything works. The checks and balances work out for what they're supposed to anyway. Even if I don't agree with some things, of course, that happens a lot for me. But also when things go good, I think that And yes, there is extreme polarization. I was just kind of honing in on the fact: is it the first time? Is it no?
Well, but we
I
create
think that
these things. So keep going. Keep
well,
going.
I know. I just think that we're living in a time where people are on edge anyway about the terrorism and the end time things that are happening in our world. And I think it's setting people on edge anyway, where they're doing things that they normally wouldn't do. Because, there's Congress, what was it, Henry Clay or whatever, they were beating each other in the head with sticks.
But the only
Andrew
thing I'd
Jackson
say about
walks
that
out and
is
gets shot,
that we had a certain parliamentary procedure that we've lost, because here's the thing.
But how have we lost?
I'll give you
What have
three.
we
Okay,
lost?
I'll give you three things.
All right.
Okay, filibuster has always been around. It's being used now for things that it's never been used before. We've never had a situation where a president nominated a Supreme Court justice and they didn't even take it up for vote. Another thing is like the Hastert rule. Okay, so Denny Hastert was only our speaker about 10, 15 years ago. So this is a brand new thing. The Hastert rule says that if the majority in power doesn't have the votes there, they're not going to bring a piece of legislation up for. Tip O'Neill would have never gone for something like that. Tip O'Neill was the leader of the Democrats for many years, Speaker of the House, worked with Ronald Reagan. If he could have gotten a coalition of both parties, he would have brought a bill up for so that's, so we have all these things that are these, they act like they're these
Well,
sort
they're
of,
unprecedented, but they're not illegal. Or
not
they're
illegal,
not,
but they
serve a purpose.
I believe they do have an unbalance towards our checks and balances, because it's not what the founders really put in place. I mean,
well, I have an optimism that it always bounces back and that it will come back. It just always will. It's like when people ask me about scandals, like Christian preachers or whatever scandals. You know what? God always has his checks and balances and always takes care of it. Because a lot of say, well, what about this preacher? What do you think about it? You know what? God takes care of them. I don't know the man's heart or the woman's heart. I don't know them. And I just think it's the same in our government. Even though it may be unprecedented and things that just seem, off balance, they always come back. I don't know. I've lived long enough to know they always come back. But more than ever, really, no matter what happens there in the political realm, in the real world, these shootings and all these things, I think people are on edge because we don't know. We could walk into a theater, we could walk into to Disney World, we could walk into wherever, not Disney World, they're really, really well protected. But, we could walk into our grocery store and be shot that day. We could be playing baseball out in a field just as an American sport, American pastime in Alexandria, Virginia, and just be shot up. And I think we're living in a time where people are just nervous about everything. And some take it out, especially if they're not all there anyway. This guy was living in his van. He came from Illinois, Belleville, Illinois, was living in his van in D.C. for a month or so, waiting for an opportunity time to do something against Republicans. That's just, and they're taking their cues from the terrorists. That's the horrible thing.
Yeah.
And it's been since the Oklahoma City bombing, I think, that we've on this slippery slide, that it's homegrown. It's not even necessarily, people coming from other countries. And so, where I agree somewhat with you, I also know that in the real world, there's just too much pressure.
I almost
and
think,
there's
Kevin, I almost think that it's like those are. Let me say this in the most precise way. Those have a certain tinge of lunacy that maybe the other, because in other words, okay, the terrorism thing, it's just their twisted ideology is just grotesque and horrible.
Yeah,
but
that's what their religion.
I don't know that 1 billion people or however many percentage of them that are terrorists or in the terrorist armies are completely sociopathic. I certainly believe, because that is a specific mental, like that can be diagnosed by like a doctor, and I doubt that you could say that a billion people are acting this way because they have a mental defect. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're doing this because of an ideology which they've led them astray.
Right.
But these folks these homegrown, it
But
seems
it gives
to be,
license to the real sociopaths.
yeah, they're the ones that are actually sort of the ones that are just truly mentally unstable. And so how do you, and it's almost like, if our law enforcement or our FBI are searching like for to snuff out these plots, you would think they would have a much more successful time if these people were associated with a group like ISIS, because you could trace their communications to ISIS, or you could trace their affiliation with that to a certain degree. But if a guy's just sitting in his basement and having crazy thoughts and maybe watching macabre films or whatever, whatever is his
video
interest,
games,
video games perhaps, how do you trace that, And so, yeah.
Well, you can't. I mean, we just have to, and all of us, have strange thoughts from once in a while, but what we have to do with those is just keep them under subjection. And those of us that have good brain function, then then we definitely keep everything in order. I really think it's because what we feed on, we are what we eat, and so what we feed our mind on is the same thing. And so that's why I want to share the devotion today about healthy relationships, and the healthiest relationship, how to keep a healthy relationship not only with one another but with the Lord, and part of that starts with our mind. The Bible tells us that He renews our mind every day. If we'll just trust in Him, we present ourselves to Him every day, and He will transform and renew our minds, so that it's and renew it day by day, every day. Because I can go to bed kind of crazy. Yeah. Thinking, this or that, But as I pray, at night before I go to bed, as I pray when I get up in the morning, ask God for help, then He renews your mind, and He keeps you on
I've always believed that.
Stability.
Isn't there a Bible passage that talks about sleep? Sleep is like a gift, and sleep isn't. Am I?
There's a proverb that says He'll give you a sweet sleep, whose mind is stayed on Him. Or a perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on Him. Yeah. Because we're not at peace. We're actually at war. Physically, into these other countries, and people think they're at war too. They think that, for instance, we're talking about the Republicans and Democrats. Yeah. By the way, were we done with William McKinley?
Yes, we were.
Because it's perfect timing, because he was shot, by a sociopath. Basically,
there was a lot of things actually that led to the modern. He
had political. This guy thought he had political things. If I'm not mixing him up with Garfield, because they both had these. They were from another country. They were immigrants.
Yeah, I didn't research too much about his assassin.
Yeah, he had either an Italian name or some kind of. And he, had some political aspirations as well. I know Garfield's guy did, because he was looked over for something, right?
Yeah, he was a stalwart.
But he wouldn't have, because he was crazy anyway. Yeah. But so. So what I was saying. So we take, as the Republicans, Democrats fighting over an issue, and transfer it, into real aggression. Maybe we can build up in our hearts and minds. We have to have healthy relationships, but part of that is having actually a relationship. This man was a loner, and he had a past record. The one that shot the congressman, yesterday, he had a past record, but he was a loner. He lived in his van for a month or whatever. We have to have healthy relationships with one another. That helps too. That keeps us accountable and keeps us in check.
Absolutely.
That's a part of it. And I think in the Democrat-Republican checks and balances, that keeps everybody in check too, because even though we wanted that, like for instance, the healthcare thing to go right off the bat, the Republicans didn't have their act together on what it should be, and so they had to rework it and redo it so they get the healthcare, So the Democrats were actually the heroes in this case, because they called them to the thing, and some of the other Republicans also said, no, this is not done, this is not good, this is not ready. So they did. So that kind of accountability with one another. We need that too with one another. I have those pastors that I'm accountable to that speak into my life, and tell me, yay or nay for a certain thing. But your healthy relationship should always be, number one, always growing. And always growing with one another, learning from each other, and being accountable to one another. And that also, once again, transfers, all four of my points transfer to our relationship with the Lord, who comes first, that we're always growing in the Word, knowing more about the Lord, always learning, always being accountable to Him for everything. And if it doesn't match the Word, don't think about it. Don't do it. If it doesn't match, even if some guy says, well, I'm a prophet and I'm telling you, well, if it doesn't match the Word, you are not a prophet. You are a prophelying, not prophesying, right? And so we don't want that. We want what the Word says. Also, you come to a relationship, it should be simple and childlike. Don't let the main thing be the main thing. Jesus said that a kingdom is like little children, and He wants all the children to come to Him, and He wants us to be His children. That's why we're called children of God, because an aspect of that is that they have simple trust.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
if there was a young man that came in here, how about just the other day?
Yeah.
What was his
Alec.
name? Alec. And I said, come on up here. And said, now he never met me from Adam's House Cat. He didn't know me, but he decided he'd come up and be a co-host on the TV program.
Kevin, I'm watching you, you know, and all of a sudden you kind of look like this, and I turn.
Because I like your shirt. Yeah. I said, come on up here, you know, and you know, but he trusted me, and that, you know, if I ask most adults, they're like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
They walk off, which I do all the time, and they walk off.
Yeah.
But a little kid has a simple faith, a simple trust in, and that's how we should be with one another. That we trust one another, we love one another. We let the main thing be. We don't just fight on these little issues and let them rise up in us. I know we need to practice that in our marriage. You know, this will be good for you. Don't let those little things just grow up, because it's those, what is it, the little something that spoils the vines? The little foxes that spoil the vine. You know, and so you let those things, and of course it transfers to the Lord. He wants us to have simple faith, trust his word. When he says, I'm going to show you the path of life, okay, God, and I'm going to give you a perfect peace if your mind is stayed on me. That's the word of God. And then another thing, always be passionate. Be passionate for your love. I tell my staff, I tell my family, I tell my wife every day. Every day I tell my wife. Every day I tell family members if I talk to them. Every day when I can't, I tell my staff, I love you. I appreciate you. I believe in you. I'm so glad you're with me. I couldn't have made it without you. I love you. I tell my wife, I would be nowhere without you. You're the best thing. Well, that's building up passion, and we should have that passion. So, number one, always growing and learning and being accountable. Childlike and simple, but passion. Let passion always, in all relationships. I take my wife out. It was our 12th anniversary. I could have just given her a little flowers. No, I gave her flowers. I took her out, and she got a massage. I took her out to a restaurant. You know, I found all the cheapest deals I could because we're really low in finances right now. I gave this lady cash, like this Chinese lady. Says, "All cash. You got tip too?" And you know, so yes, so you tip. And so I got her. You know, usually it would be her and I both getting the full hour or whatever massage. And then she got 30 minutes, and we were in and out, and I waited for her. And then we had dinner at a place that was pretty inexpensive, really good place. FD's in Springfield. Shout out to a restaurant. Man, it's a new one. FD's. Huh. It's Forerunner is Fish Daddy's. Okay. So it stands for Fish Days, but it's like another. Fish Daddy's is mostly a seafood restaurant in Tulsa and Dallas. Okay. I've been to both. Love them. Yeah. I told my wife that night, which I probably shouldn't have, but I told her that the girlfriend I had before her, I used to take her to Fish Daddy's all the time in Tulsa, but it was our favorite place. But I shouldn't have said that on our anniversary, but I said, but honey, that was Fish Daddy's. Now we're at FD's, the new one.
Yes.
And you're my wife. She lost, you won. Anyway, so.
It's like we were at this Japanese restaurant the other day.
Yeah.
Kendra's like, have you ever been here before? I'm like, yeah, one time. She's like, with who?
Oh, see, it's never a good road to go down. They don't like to hear about that. But it was dinner, and then I had a deal for a hotel in Springfield, and so we did that. It had a hot tub, but it also had windows around it, so she didn't want to go sit in the hot tub. So I'm like, honey, nobody's really looking. Who cares?
Yeah.
No, not going to happen. So we watched a movie in the hotel room together and stuff. And but what I'm saying is I could have just gone a cheap way and said, happy anniversary, here's a card. But, you do more things because you want to keep your love alive. And once again, this transfers to the Lord. You want to read his word. You want to talk to him. You want to do everything that he's called us to do because you love him. I don't do these things because I have to or it helps me, and it does. But it's because I love him, and I want to show him I love him. And so I build up, my passion stays with him. My worship. Worship can get so rote and boring and liturgical if you allow it. Some religions have allowed that, where they just go through the motions, say the words on a little card or in a hymn book or even on a screen, and they're just repeating words. But I want my worship to be passionate. I want to let him know how much I love him and appreciate him. So I love real worship in churches. By the way, my pet peeve is a worship service that's all about us and what he does for us. I think a true worship is singing to him. You are the love of my life. Or, I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice. Or I exalt thee. All songs to him. The other songs are okay. But if you don't ever really sing and tell how much you love him, how is that worship? If I just said, I really like how you're a great co-host. I like you on the AM Kevin show. I love your sports show. I love how you know all these things about history. Love how you're just really good, and you really helped me a lot. And I'm thank you for your help me, and I'm glad you're still here, even though I haven't paid you for a while. I really like you really being here, and and you're like, okay, that's good. But if I say to really adore you and worship you, it's I love all those things. But what I really want to say is, I just love you. You're my nephew, but you're more than that. You're real, you're like a blood relative to me. I love you with all my heart. You're like a son I never had.
Yeah, man, we've been through
Tanner's
a lot
not.
this past,
Kidding. But
yeah.
And we've been through. But that takes it from praising you to worshiping.
Right.
Okay. And so it's really not you. I'm talking about it's about God.
Yeah.
It goes from praising Him to really worshiping and focusing on telling Him. Because I think if you direct your worship to Him, then you start feeling His presence. And it says He will show us the path of life, and in His presence is fullness of joy. It's right-handed pleasures for. I quote Psalm 16:11 all the time. And then one thing, like I said, always in all relationships, it should be flexible. It should be extemporaneous. I think is the word. Improvisational. Keep them guessing. Keep them. I was driving Cindy I said we're going to the hotel, but I was going to the massage place. And so she didn't know. And so, wow, that's a weird place for a hotel. It was on Kearney, Kearney and Springfield was there's some shady areas. Yeah. And I went back in there, and she said it was the greatest one she ever had massage, but she didn't know. And I pull into it says the China massage or Asian massage. And she's like, oh, look at you, and so ding, there's a point.
Yeah, point.
But I think always be extemporaneous in your relationships, not only with people, but with the Lord. If you always go to the same place to pray, mix it up. If you're always on your knees, fall on your face or stand up. Or if you say the same thing every time before you eat, God is great, God is good, let us thank Him for the food, amen. Say something different, mix it up. Don't sit in the same place in church. Some people sit in the same seat, and their seat print is the same. It doesn't change. So somebody else sat in there. It's contoured to their butt, and nobody else can sit there. They'll fall off. So mix it up. Preacher in Baltimore, you told me, Brother Carter, man, God rest his soul, great preacher. He said, don't let the devil get your pattern down. So mix it up. And, I tell that to addicts, I can't beat this alcohol. Well, don't go to the alcohol store. Go somewhere, because they drive by, or the drug addict will drive by the same where they pick up the drug.
Yeah.
Go somewhere different. Try something different. Anyway, so all these things, always growing, childlike faith, passion, and extemporaneous relationships will help build a great relationship with Him, and He will renew your mind, and He will help you. Help us today. There's so many ways you can. Go to kevintroy.com. You're already on the internet, so go ahead and go to kevintroy.com. Get T-shirts, 15, 2 for $20. Get the trifecta right now. Kevin's Favorites Combo, the KFC. Coffee mugs, still available. Thank you for your partnership, $34 a month. This month was the We Remember print, plus a musical CD of one of the guests that have been on our show. All these things. And don't forget Pamela Rensing. If you don't know the number, call us at 844-47-KEVIN. We'll give you her number and let you know about her facial creams and help things. Aloe vera skincare. That's it. All based on aloe vera. We'll see you tomorrow when we go to maybe with William Jennings Bryan.
Yeah.
Okay. And be here at 2 o'clock. Little E's coming back.